Class V. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know this. It does not matter. It never has, and it never will. Anyways, today is Monday, March the 20th of 2023, day 79th of the year. Yes. Day 79th of the year, and only 286 days left to go. Anyways, how are you? How was your weekend? How did everything go? Did you do everything that you wanted to do? Did you accomplish the things that you thought you were going to accomplish but didn't have the time but were able to pull them off anyways? Or how did it all go? I mean, I'm always curious about those things. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, yes, we hang out with our friends at Radio Big.fm, which they are a part of the iHeartRadio broadcasting system there. And I'm talking about the broadcasting system, not the podcasting system, where they are streaming 24/7 over there on iHeartRadio. We're also part of TuneIn, Safety FM, the app, the streamer, and all kinds of interesting stuff. And then we do that little video thing if you want to torture yourself, which I'm sure you've already seen the screw-ups this morning if you're watching the video side of the whole thing. So there you go. Some things that are going on. Anyway, so look at that. We're already at the 20th. A month away from 420. We are so close to the month of April. It's not even funny. And the year is already flying by as we are doing all of our thingos. Yes, our thingos together, because that makes it an interesting time as we get to hang out and do everything from there. So let's start talking right away on what you can do. If you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process. Go to callinradio.com. That'll get you in the boxy oxy, and not into the box of oxy, because that probably sounded wrong. Well, that will get you moving and grooving inside of everything that we have going on, so we can get you into our system and go from there. The other side of the equation as we are talking is that, we talk a little bit about everything on this show. We talk about safety in the news and safety. We talk about what's trending, because those things are important, and then we go from there. So let's do that right now. Let's talk about what is trending from the weekend or the overnight.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking a look-see around of everything that was going on as we are hanging out from the weekend and going everywhere around. This is what we were seeing on trending and what will be on tap for the day. Who knew how easy it was to exploit a monkey bar? Yeah, monkey bar and monkey labor. We'll talk about that. Former President Donald Trump says he's about to be arrested, and Joe Biden says that the latest evidence against his family and foreign business dealing are bunk. Taylor Swift kicked off the Eras Tour on Friday, and Ben Affleck revealed who he likes in Worldy. Yeah, we'll talk about that if you want. And another character is leaving Grey's Anatomy, and Good Burger sequel is in the works, which I don't think that those are all important things that are going on. But we'll talk about some of those because, hey, listen, people want to know on what is going, what is happening, what is the world of the news of the things that are going on. So, hey, listen, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help out and give you the newscast of what is going on. So don't worry about that. Anyways, with that being said, let's start talking about right away about what is going on inside of the world. And let's talk about what the professional broadcasters will talk about. As you sit back and take a listen today, we'll have all kinds of fun stuff because why wouldn't we have fun stuff? Anyways, let's get into the important portion. Let's get into the news, and let's do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. The West Coast and the South are both in store for some winter weather this week. More from Chris Caraccio.
California is expected to get hit by another atmospheric river, producing heavy rain throughout the state and 2 to 4 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Freeze warnings are in effect in numerous states from Texas to Virginia. Deep South cities such as Birmingham, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi saw temperatures Sunday ranging from 20 to 30 degrees. I'm Chris Coraggio.
Former President Donald Trump is accusing President Biden of trying to influence the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in the Stormy Daniels hush money payment case. More from Mark Mayfield.
Trump made the claim Sunday on his Truth Social platform, adding that Biden wants to pretend he has nothing to do with the Manhattan DA's assault on democracy, when in fact he has stuffed the DA's office with Department of Injustice people. He also accused District Attorney Alvin Bragg of taking his orders from D.C. Prosecutors have signaled a possible indictment, but the DA's office has not confirmed Trump's claim that he would be arrested in connection with the case on Tuesday.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he does not want any protests or violence if former President Trump is arrested.
I don't think people should protest this, no. And I think President Trump, if you talk to him, he doesn't believe that either.
McCarthy commented Sunday, one day after President Trump posted in all caps on his Truth Social account, "Protest, take our nation back." McCarthy said Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan will direct an investigation if the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is using federal money for its probe. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is calling for his country to bolster its nuclear readiness. In remarks carried by state media, Kim accused the U.S. and South Korea of planning aggression against North Korea. He said his country's nuclear force will strongly deter, control, and manage the enemy's reckless moves and provocations. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Laura Macon-Isherwood. European and Asian markets have started the day down following the announcement Swiss bank UBS is taking over Credit Suisse. China is dismissing international concerns over its relationship with Russia ahead of a high-profile meeting between the country's leaders in Moscow. And a number of Republicans claim any arrest of former US President Donald Trump would be politically motivated.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
California's largest school district and the second largest in the nation is likely just a day away from shutting down for at least 3 days. Ingrid Baeta with United Teachers Los Angeles says the strike is necessary.
We're at a desperation level. We know that if we don't stand with SEIU, our communities will not get what they deserve.
65,000 Los Angeles Unified School District employees are going on strike tomorrow unless a deal is reached in the 11th hour. Local 99 SEIU, which represents bus drivers, custodians, and other support staff, called for the strike, and United Teachers Los Angeles members will walk out with them in solidarity. A lot of people dream of winning the lottery, but if you do hit a big jackpot like the Powerball or Mega Millions, that means there's a lot more to consider at tax time. Jack Crumley with more.
William Hesch is with Hesch Law and Hesch CPAs in Cincinnati.
You can claim the prize as a partnership with your family. Sometimes you have groups of employees at a company that have a partnership. The entity that would claim would be a partnership or a limited liability company. You would have to prove, though, to the IRS that that was the situation.
He says that proof is key.
The point is there's a tax rule called the Assignment of Income Doctrine that says that you cannot assign your lottery winnings to your children. You would have to provide documentation that, yes, your children did, in fact, were in a pool, that you did have a partnership, and you were playing the lottery you have a history of doing so.
He says trying to spread the money around by giving it to family is subject to a possible gift tax. That's 40%. If you do hit it big, hire a team like a financial advisor, a tax expert, and attorneys.
Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen is recovering from an assault he suffered recently. Allen was attacked from behind in front of a Florida hotel the day after a Def Leppard concert, according to police reports. Allen hit his head on the ground in the attack. A 19-year-old man has been arrested. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobile.io. That's mobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand?
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, we'll figure it out."
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home, and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi. Radio.
Hey, what's going on over there? Anyways, currently 16 minutes past the top of the hour, and let's get into the shit list right away because you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show, and we need to tell you about what the hell's going on because that's what we do around here. We tell you exactly what is going on in the world-o because that's what kind of our gig is. So let's talk about it. Among the people and businesses that bilked out billions of FTX in the Margaritaville location in the Bahamas, which says the crypto exchange owes them nearly $600,000. When the company first went bust, multiple outlets reported that FTX subsidiary Alameda Research owed nearly $60,000. Turns out that it was a drop in the bucket by a factor of 10 because FTX employees rented the company suites for extended periods. And it gets worse. One perk of working at FTX was a $200 stipend for employee to spend on DoorDash. Are you ready for this? Every day. $200 stipend for DoorDash every day. What the hell are you ordering from DoorDash? Hey, and listen, I'm not picking on DoorDash here. So using a special product for enterprise organization, DoorDash for Work, where companies could pay for food and delivery fees directly instead of offering reimbursement, FTX spent nearly $400,000 on the service over the span of 3 months in 2022, and they're still on the hook for around $46,000. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. There are foods that I like and all that kind of fun stuff, but $200 a day. And then we're talking about this crazy stipend stuff over here. That makes it even a little bit more interesting as we start talking because what are you getting at this point? Like, I don't get it. Like, it makes me kind of go, okay, what kind of food am I going into? Anyways, I can probably harp on that for quite some time. So let's continue talking. Officials in Bali are pushing the end of the open policy of giving easy visas to tourists from the Ukraine and Russia. The tropical vacation destination has a major uptick in visitors from Russia and Ukraine since the former invasion last year. An estimated 58,000 Russian traveled last year, and another 22,500 visited Bali in January alone. Officials say that these vacationers have shared the limits of the visas and have even begun to taking job as taxi drivers and hairdressers. So I guess that's coming to an end relatively quick. But what do you think here? What do you think as I talk about it? Because that's going to be an interesting one for sure as we are talking. Anyway, take a listen to this. 2 people on board of the Yakova Yak 52 airplane miraculously survived a mid-air collision. Yes, I did say a mid-air collision with a Ryan Navian during an aerial demonstration in Mesa, Arizona on Friday. Both planes managed to land, but the Yak 52 landed gear failed because of what had actually cracked almost in half. The pilot and the passenger were assessed for minor injuries, and the pilot and the sole passenger on the other plane appeared to be just fine. So there you go. Mid-air collision should not even be a thing to say, but it was said, and those things apparently happen.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so are you ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. And listen, I love meal prep as much as the next people. And yes, meal prep services are available, but take a listen to this. If you subscribe to HelloFresh meal kits, you have been enjoying the fruits of an exploited monkey labor. Yes, I did say that. It's exactly what it sounds like. Coconut producers in Thailand apparently rely on training monkeys to climb trees and toss coconuts to the ground. Animal rights group PETA says that this is abuse. Moving forward, HelloFresh says that they'll source coconuts from other countries. So hold on, let's talk about this because we're gonna have to know a little bit more data. So you found out that there was a monkey labor force that was actually getting you the coconuts through HelloFresh. And now all of a sudden this has become a thing where all of a sudden HelloFresh is like, oh, we did not know. We were the one-armed man. We never knew that this was the case. It's interesting on how these things happen.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, the anti-ship mine left over the World War II was carefully detonated off the coast of Croatia on Sunday, months after its first discovery last June. Officials evacuated parts of Pork City out of the abundance of caution throughout the process. A specially trained dive team moved the mine further out to sea before it exploded. So I guess that's a good plan. Let's move some things before they explode. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, let's talk about the charts of the movies. Did you go to the movies over the weekend? If you did, this is what was going on. At the number 10 spot was Puss in Boots, The Last Wish with $1.5 million. At number 9 was Avatar, The Way of the Water with $1.9 million. Champions was at $3 million at number 8. At number 7, Jesus Revolution, $3.5 million. At number 6, Cocaine Bear with $3.8 million. At number 5, Ant-Man and Wasp with $4 million, down from the number 4 spot. At number 4 was 65, yes, that's what it's called, with $5.8 million. At number 3 was Creed Part 3 with $15.3 million. And number 2 was Scream 6 with $17.5 million. And the new number 1 for this week, according to the box office and the numbers, was Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Let's do that again. Furies of the Gods. And yes, I know that I'm still, going. And yes, I did say, let's do that again. $30.5 million, new number 1, just in case you were wondering. So there you go. Do we get swampy? Do we get swampy? Do we want to get swampy now? Let's get a little swampy for a moment. Let's talk about a couple of things. Stormy Daniels, 44, quietly married fellow adult film star Brett Blade, 50, last December. The couple first met back in 1998. Fast forward to today, and not only have they tied the knot, but they are also filming a film called Lawless. Blade is Daniels' 4th husband. So there you go. So as we get into the swamp, former President Trump started his weekend on Saturday by declaring that on True Social, he's expected to be arrested on Tuesday. In all caps, Dispatch, the former commander-in-chief, declared, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest and take back our country. Within hours, a spokesperson for Trump said that he does not have direct knowledge of a planned arrest. If Trump is indicted, it would be in connected to payments that he made to the porn star Stormy Daniels to keep quiet over the affair. Trump contends never happened. The grand jury hearing evidence reportedly still has witness to hear from today before voting on the indictment. On Thursday of last week, Republican House Committee Oversight and Accountability announced that it had obtained bank records directly in connecting payments from the Chinese energy firm to members of Biden's family just weeks after Joe Biden left the office of vice president in 2017. Hours after these bank records came to light, lawyers for Hunter Biden sued the computer repair shop owner who had handed over the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop to Trump allies in 2016. They say that it was a breach of privacy, but stopped short of admitting that the laptop information that went public belonged to the first son. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. And that's what it feels like to get swampy. So there you go. We got swampy, and ugh, boy, is it something. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring in some John Smalls on this lovely Monday for him to tell us about what's going on with the market beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, March 20th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets ended a mixed week on a down note Friday, falling more than 1% at the day's low. The S&P 500 enters the week on an uncertain footing with the FOMC meeting on tap. The market is pricing in a 25 basis point interest rate hike, which is likely, but is also pricing in a lower peak than last week. This is a risk given the state of inflation and the most recent FOMC commentary. Given the Fed's stance, the new policy statement is more likely to support the idea of higher rates for longer. Ultimately, the outlook for earnings will keep the market moving in one direction or another. As it is, the consensus figures for the year continue to decline and weigh heavy on the S&P 500. Some stocks are set up to rebound during the spring, but more will remain range-bound or fall to new lows. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at MarketBeatMinute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information right there. Let me tell you a little bit of what I was able to find. This is how it went. The Dow lost about 384 points on Friday to close at 31,861. The S&P lost about 43 points to close at 3,916, while the NASDAQ lost about 86 points to close at 11,630. West Texas Intermediate closed at $67 a barrel, while Brent crude was at $73 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.44 on Sunday. Bitcoin continued to surge over the weekend with news about bank bailouts, and it was up 4% on Sunday, trading just over $28,000. There was 3,827 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, with about 119 cancellations. So there you go there. And Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $272 million jackpot or $146.5 million cash payout. So there you go. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $86 million jackpot or a $46.3 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you still have the time to do so. There you go. Some stuff going on for sure right there as we are talking. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into a little bit of more news about some other things that are going on. The U.S. is quietly marking the 20th anniversary of the war with Iraq. NBC Richard Engel reports about what's doing much of these days.
Now, the country is much safer than it's been in years. There are no more car bombs. There are no more kidnappings. Iraqis are trying to start a new life and a new future.
The President George W. Bush formally announced the start of the war in televised address on March the 19th of 2003. Bush spoke to the nation shortly after the explosion began to rock Baghdad. The U.S.-led coalition forces launched the air attack about 90 minutes after the deadline for Saddam Hussein to leave Iraq had passed. The first targets were hit with Tomahawk cruise missiles from the U.S. aircrafts and warships of the Persian Gulf. The U.S. declared that the end of the war nearly 10 years after fighting began. So there you go, March the 19th, 2003, just to give you some information on what is going on. Anyways, a home explosion has leveled a Dearborn Heights house. Alicia Harsh was at work when she saw the video on Instagram when the house went up in flames. It's coming out of Michigan.
Saw the video and instantly I knew it was my house. I could tell by the color of the neighbors' houses.
The couple's dog, German Shepherd Husky, both survived. Both had signed. He says that his wife do not have insurance set up, so they have set up a GoFundMe to help recover. He is very happy the couple's two dogs survived the explosion.
So immediately when we brought them here, they said, standard procedure with, dogs and house fires is smoke inhalation. They said that he's going to need oxygen therapy, fluid therapy.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. So that's a hell of a surprise when you especially imagine that you're hanging out on Instagram and you see that your house blew up. I mean, that's not something you want to see. Anyways, the Linwood Fresh Market is now open in Linwood's Dexter area in Detroit. Owner Sonia Greeny opened the store where the liquor store used to operate in the 1,800 square foot building.
I'm kind of nervous. It's my first rodeo, but I'm super excited.
Okay, the Detroiters are thrilled with Linwood Fresh Market opening up.
Well, I think it's a vital part that we have fresh food right here in the community, in the neighborhood, and I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yes, I always think fresh fruit is very important as we are talking and doing all kinds of fun stuff. Take a listen to this. California's largest school district and the second largest in the nation is likely just a day away from shutting down at least for 3 days. Ingrid Vajeda with the United Teachers of Los Angeles says that the strike is necessary.
We're at a desperation level. We know that if we don't stand with SEIU, our communities will not get what they deserve.
65,000 Los Angeles United School District employees are going on strike tomorrow unless the deal is reached on the 11th hour. Local 99 SEIU, which represents bus drivers, custodians, and support staff, called for the strike. The United Teachers of Los Angeles members will walk out with them in solidarity. LAUSD Superintendent Alberto Cavallo says that he has that the loss of so many employees will force the schools to close, with the closure extending to online classes. LASU Superintendent Alberto says that the 99 SEIU isn't willing to negotiate with the district.
Up until now, we have not necessarily received in a formal or informal way a response that would bring the leadership of the union to the table to negotiate through this process.
Well, I mean, let's talk about this. If they're saying to the news that, hey, we're about to walk out, no shit, nothing's happened, because they're telling you they're going to walk out. And this is why I hate threats in the press, because, listen, you're using the press to advance what the hell's going on. What we need to keep in mind is, yes, I understand the employees need to be helped out, but we also need to think about the children that are being affected with the whole thing. I mean, think about that to some extent.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, former President Trump is urging his supporters to protest because he is expected to be arrested this week. Mark Mayfield has more data.
New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu says protests should be peaceful, but an indictment would result in a political circus. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, the Republican said Democrats are building sympathy for the former president because it seems like he's being attacked over an issue that happened 7 years ago. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office has been investigating Trump for his alleged role in a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. Sununu said there are much more pressing issues to worry about. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Mark Mayfield, for the information right there. Let's see if we can get one more in before we go to Maine here, before we go to our Maine story. So let's take a look at what else that we have over here. Let's do the Trump-Biden stuff. You want to do that? Let's do that. Let's do some, do we just have a total news lockup? Yeah, looks like we have a total news lockup. Maybe we won't be doing anything. Maybe we'll be talking about how the world is beautiful, because that's what it looks like. So yeah, when your news locks up, you go into the next thing. That's what it sounds like. So let's do this. It's 32 minutes past the top of the hour. That's the easiest way to do this. Let's get into our Maine. Let's talk about the main story, because why wouldn't we? It's the main story time.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, so let's talk, let's hang, let's do all the stuff that we get to do, because that's what we do around here. Anyways, I hope you are having a grand time on this marvelous Monday, because there is so much going on in the world that sometimes the world can become confusing as we are talking. So let's talk about some things. Let's talk about how often do you allow to be burned and then decide not to move forward in regards of doing other things? So let's talk. Think about your work environment for a moment and think about how you allow things to occur, how things happen, how things move, how things groove, and what you do inside of those scenarios. So with that being said, and as you are thinking through some of this, let's talk for a moment. And as you know, we all do work a little bit differently, but you normally only allow yourself to get burned ever so frequently before you decide to do anything in regards to moving forward. So imagine that pre-pandemic, you are able to go to an event that would be a conference, and you invite some people to be part of the conference, and they take a flight. And we'll give some names to some of these people. Let's call them Irene and Christian. And Irene and Christian decide to take a flight to be at your event. And it is the equivalent of flying from Phoenix, Arizona to Oklahoma City, which is about a little over 2 hours to fly there. And they decide to, be part of your event and turn around and they book a flight for $8,000. An $8,000 flight because they decide that a first class is the way to go for 2 hours. And they decide to bill you for that. I mean, I would imagine that with Irene and Christian going forward, you're not going to probably do anything with them. So you would probably avoid doing anything, kind of the way that you would do in any work environment, because who's paying $8,000 for a 2-hour trip? I mean, I don't know what kind of money you're working with, but definitely not something that I would do. So imagine that you put on another event in another location and you don't invite them and they feel offended. They feel offended that they were not invited as part of this event, but they are able to become uninvited guests. They talk to one of the other presenters and they walk their way in through it. And as, they're not invited guests, so why would you, do anything? Why would you have them be part of the presentation? And we'll talk about Irene and Christian, and they decide to all of a sudden present with another presenter. And as a kind gesture, you decide to gift them a pretty nice gift with a 4-digit value. And in return, all of a sudden, after they get the gift, they contact you and say, hey, are you going to pay me for being part of the event that you never invited them to, as they force themselves as being part of another presenter? It would kind of make you feel kind of weird. And you would probably would not want to do any kind of business with Christian and Irene going forward. So I mention all of this as a parable, as something to come up with and go, how often do you get burned by stupidity inside of the work joint, inside of the workplace, and decide to move forward? and decide to change things up. Because, listen, I understand wanting to help the people inside of the environment, wanting to help people in your circle of friends. That all makes sense to me. But there's also the portion in life where people are taking advantage of you. So if the uninvited guest becomes part of your gig, how do you look into it? How do you change these things? How do you make these things work? Do you have an Irene and Christian in your life? I always wonder about those things. And listen, I understand that some work environments have unions. I know that some work environments have the way that they're set up that you have to interact with other people. But what is it? What if it's a business that you run? What if it's something that it seems like it would be detrimental to the team? How do those things work out for you? I always wonder about uninvited guests. So if you look at this equation, how do you correct the problem? How do you look at some of this stuff and move forward? I'm always amazed on how technology changed. Now, I'm always amazed on how people do stuff. And I guess, it all depends on your character and how you look at life, because that's going to be the biggest factor into the whole thing. I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, we're all trying to get home in a better way than what we actually did and all that kind of fun stuff that we talk about. But at this point, when do you start saying the uninvited guest is truly uninvited? Think about that.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case. And you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Look through your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Radio.
USA, Canada, UK. Is your safety screen old, stale, and hackney? Safety trainers still preaching a warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
In the morning show, and we're going to start talking about what is going on as we're coming back. You know, this one right here is called Set These Hills on Fire. This one right here is by Cemetery Men. Yes, Cemetery Men. This one you can give a little download-y-ody if you want to. YouTube Music, Apple Music, and some Spotify. Yeah, Set These Hills on Fire. There you go. So there you go. Thanks to Cemetery Men for allowing us to play this here. Set these hills on fire. Yeah, sometimes. You know, I will have to tell you this. Anyways, thank you for allowing us to play this. If you want to listen to a companion song to this show today, there is a song by Disturbed called Uninvited Guest. So take a listen to that one. You might really enjoy it. Maybe we'll play it on when we go onto the other side onto radiobig.fm, because that's what we do over there. Anyway, so let's talk real quick about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. Or you can text the word TALK to 988 or call 988, and that will get you inside of their system. Listen, they can help you with all kinds of stuff. Anyone who could be struggling with suicide can find more specific resources dealing with Black mental health, Native American and Alaska Natives, attempt survivors, maternal mental health, veterans, deaf, hard hearing, and hearing loss, youth loss survivors in Ayuda en Español, individuals with other issues, disaster survivors, so LGBTQ stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can actually go in there and take a look to. 988lifeline.org. Super important. If you are struggling, or if you know someone who's struggling, provide them the resources that they may need. Let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the world, though, as we are still coming off the weekend. And what is going on? Let's talk about shooting some bull real quick. And you're right, no one wants to do the spring cleaning shit. I mean, let's just be realistic. Well, some do, but we haven't got time to get into their issues. But there's the thing that for the rest of us, the scientific link between cleaning and improving your mood. Clinical psychologist Dr. Dawn Potter says that having a clean home can make you feel more in control. And it has many mental health benefits. There are, of course, the positives of physical aspect. There are plenty of research showing that physical activity reduces depressive symptoms and generally improves the quality of life. Here are some things to keep in mind when you consider your annual spring cleaning or spring procrastinating. You don't have to do. You don't have to go all Martha Stewart on all of us. On the whole place, just cleaning something. Just clean something if you're going to do anything. And that something should be your living room. Why? You feel the most accomplished if you get the area that benefits you most of your time in your home. Like the floor where the kids play with where the kids play, or the coffee table where you sort out your bills. Having that clean space and spend time in, even if you give you a little boost and you can move to other areas. It's definitely give you those mental and physical benefits that we just talked about. As soon as you moved on to the clean another room, bam, tropical storm kid strikes again. So don't worry about it. It's kind of the way that it goes. But it's also probably that you have to take down the Christmas tree too. I mean, it might be time. We are on March the 20th, so that does play the factor into it. And if cleaning makes people happy, it's no wonder my mom's so darn joyful all the time. So there you go. Yeah, only if you knew her.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. A new study says that reducing your social media use by just 15 minutes a day can not only improve your general health and immune function, but also improve symptoms of depression and loneliness. Professional Phil Reed of Sonea University, which conducted a study, says that these data demonstrate that the people who reduce their social media use, their lives improve in many ways, including benefits of physical and health, psychological, and well-being. Which app do people most want to delete from their phones? Instagram. Security website VPN Overview analyzed internet search trends of the 30 most popular apps to see which ones people most interested in dumping, and found that more than 900,000 searches in the U.S. over the last 6 months on how to delete or deactivate Instagram, the most of any other app. Facebook was a distant second with 400,000 searches. Then Snapchat was at 217,000 and Twitter at 92,500. In spite of recent controversy, TikTok only had about 14,120 searches on how to get rid of it, unless TikTok has a way of meddling into that information too. But that's a whole other conversation for another time.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. Steven Smith wants his body. Stephen Smith's mother wants his body independently examined. This is coming out of South Carolina. The body of a 19-year-old found dead in the middle of South Carolina Road nearly 80 years ago will be exhumed and re-examined. Sandy Smith is the mother of the victim, Stephen Smith.
It's a big cover-up, and I don't know who was covering for who, but I know my son did not get the justice that he deserved.
South Carolina State Law Enforcement Agency says there's new evidence into Smith's death while the investigation of the murder of Maggie and Paul McDowell, the wife and the son of the one prominent now disbarred attorney Alex McDowell. McDowell was convicted earlier this month for their death. Smith was found along the road back in 2015, and his death was initially ruled a hit and run. Investigators at the scene, however, have found no evidence that it had been a hit and run by a vehicle. So that'll be interesting to see what exactly goes on from there. Some interesting stuff always going on as we are talking. Anyways, it is 51 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's do this real quick. Let's bring some John Small back in here and let him tell you about what the hell's going on inside of the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Dave. Thomas Sowell said, I have never understood why it is greed to want to keep the money you have earned, but not greed to take somebody else's money. I love that. I actually just had a long conversation with a friend about a very similar topic just the other day. Our discussion was not political in nature, although this would certainly be a topic of discussion for political debate as well. But we were actually talking about business. He mentioned that now that he owns the place, he pays a lot closer attention to the expenses. I can relate. When I was an employee, I had no idea how expensive it was to run a business. And it's easier to spend someone else's money than it is to spend your own. If you know, you know. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlysaMorgan.com. The concept of aging. Some of us dread it, some of us accept it, but most of us don't like it. Today, many studies of longevity focus on developing routines that will help with slowing down aging and extending healthy old years. One of the recommendations that is backed up by a lot of research is that infrequent meals are conducive to longevity. Low levels of insulin stimulate a molecule called insulin-like growth factor, which activates longevity genes. In other words, consuming food more frequently and never going hungry does not turn on longevity genes and accelerates biological clock. Additionally, occasional hunger activates body's resources that accelerate metabolism, burn fat, and increase energy. For more information, check out AlysaMorgan.com.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, nothing better about being too stupid, right? Anyways, 52 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's continue talking as we are ticking and talking away. That is for sure. So let's take a look around at a little bit, some more news before we get you out of here. Take a listen to this real quick. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly wants lawmakers from both sides of the aisles to work together on border security and immigration reform.
The steps that have been taken are positive. There's still more that needs to be done.
Appearing on CNN State of the Union, the first-term Democratic stressed that he doesn't always agree with his own party on immigration issues, saying that lawmakers in the border state like Arizona, Texas, have known for years the border needs to be more secure. He also called for comprehensive partisan immigration reform to give dreamers a pathway to citizenship. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona stressed that he doesn't always agree with his own party.
This is very challenging for border states. And if you're a small town on the southern border, this has been a real struggle, and we've got to do more.
He also went as far to call for comprehensive bipartisan reform. Take a listen.
It's good for our economy. It'll help us grow our GDP. I really get incredibly frustrated that we haven't been able to provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. Anyways, take a listen to this. Senator Mike Rounds is dismissing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' controversial comment about Russia's invasion of the Ukraine.
I don't think it's a territorial dispute. While he may be taking territory, this is bigger than that for us.
The South Dakota Republican who sits in the Armed Services Committee said that he disagreed with DeSantis about the war, about the territorial dispute on NBC Meet the Press. However, he believes that the remark has something to do with primary politics. DeSantis hasn't officially announced that he will run for president in 2024. South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds says that Florida Governor DeSantis' controversial comments about Russia's invasion of the Ukraine has something to do with primary politics.
I'm not exactly sure yet because I haven't seen the entire interview. If perhaps part of it was taken out of context in terms of how does that measure compared to other issues.
Hold on. Do you think that the media took something out of context? No way. That doesn't happen. Anyways, millions are waiting for Texas judge's forthcoming decision in the case regarding abortion pills. Mark Mayfield has more.
A U.S. district judge heard arguments last week in an anti-abortion group's lawsuit to overturn the FDA's approval of abortion pills. The Alliance Defending Freedom sued in November on behalf of 4 pro-life medical organizations and 4 doctors who say they treated patients with mifepristone. The drug was approved in 2000, but the lawsuit claims the government deliberately ignored what plaintiffs describe as harmful side effects. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for the information right there. Anyways, let's take a look around at some things that happened back on this day. If we take a look back in 1999, it is the day that in California and features an amusement park experience centered around Lego theme. And a water park opened back in 2010. This is the first American Lego Land opens. That happened back in 1999. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's talk about some of those. Anna Todd turns 34. Danny Garcia, 35. Ruby Rose, 37. Christian Carlson Romano, 39. Fernando Torres, 39. Mikey Day, 43. Bianca Lawson, 44. David Thorells, 60. Professional wrestler Sting turned 64 today. Spike Lee, 66. Bobby Orr, 75. And Lois Lauer, he turns 86 today. So there you go. And there you go. That's some birthdays. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those for you. It's International Day of Happiness, World Storytelling Day, National Ravioli Day, National Macaroni Day, National Kiss Your Fiance Day. What if you don't have a fiance? Won't Be Your Neighbor Day, Hufflepuff Pride Day, National Proposal Day, and National Snowman Burning Day. Why would you be burning a snowman today? That's kind of a weird thing to say that you're going to be doing. What are you doing today? I'm burning a snowman. So there you go. That's some days of the year that you can celebrate. What else? What else do we need? Let's see. If you need, let's see. What do I want to give you? How about some Whack Fast? The largest snowflake in the world was found in 1887. It was 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick. There's an island in Japan that you can visit that's inhabited only by friendly bunnies. The British royal family isn't allowed to play Monopoly. The 19th century experts warned that women about disease called bicycle phase, which meant of getting stuck in an awkward faces they made while biking. God is only Simpsons character who has 5 fingers. All others only have 4. And what are Terra Nation? It's literally just another way of saying, what the hell? What the hell? So there you go. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those. Spring is when you feel like you're whistling, even though your shoes are full of slush. What else do I have for you? If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What crazy thing once happened at work and you're still expected to show up? Oh, there's so many to name. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. Sales of these rise by 50% in the spring. What are they? Prepackaged salads. Bathing suit season is coming, so that is the reason why that happens. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about this. Safety Worlds Collide. If you want to come and hang out with us on May the 9th and May the 10th in Phoenix, Arizona, Sam Goodman, Brett Sutton, and yours truly will all be hanging out doing the, let's call it the conference non-conference that will be taking place in Phoenix, Arizona. To find out more information, safetyfm.io for more information. Anyways, thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. Without you, we can't do what we do around here. At the top of the hour, I'll be going over to radiobig.fm exclusively if you want to come and hang out. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. The plant garden is to believe in tomorrow. Yes, the plant garden is to believe in tomorrow. Think about that. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.